Hey everybody, it's your good buddy Tim on our journey together through the Bible one day at a time. Our reading for today was in Numbers chapter 5 and chapter 6. Wordsworth wrote a poem that I like, and it starts by saying, "The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending. We lay waste our powers." Not a great way to describe life in the 21st century today. We are so overwhelmed with the cares of this world that maybe you're thinking to yourself, wouldn't it be great just to take some time off from all the busyness and the cares of this life? Well, the Bible describes a time like that called the Nazarite vow in chapter 6 of Numbers. Prior to this, those people were the closest to God, were the priests and the Levites, and they had work to do in the tabernacle and then in the temple. But beginning with chapter 6, we understand anybody can be close to God, male or female, it doesn't matter who you are, by taking a Nazarite vow. It's completely voluntary, with a couple of exceptions, where God designated people as Nazarites, usually for a limited time, 30 to 120 days would be a normal time for a Nazarite vow. But the key in what the word Nazarite means, and the key to their practice is separation from this world. Leave the world behind for a little while. 11 times in this one chapter, the Nazarite vow is called a period of a person's separation from everything else and separation unto God. We're dedicated to Him and to Him alone. Isn't that a great way to live all of our lives? One of the requirements was it does not allow alcohol, total abstinence from alcohol, not even the possibility that there might be some alcohol in those grapes or raisins or anything that can be fermented. Stay away from those completely. And I realize it's a controversial issue for some people. It's not for me. I'm convinced the Bible teaches total abstinence from alcohol. But people used to ask me. I had a television program for a number of years where people would call in with questions about the Bible or the Christian life. And I would get that every once in a while. Somebody would call in and say, "Is it a sin to have one beer?" And expected me to say, "Well, no big deal. Just don't get drunk." But um, I would have to say, I think you're asking the wrong question. What you're looking for with that question is, what's the lowest standard of living that God will accept that I can still call myself a Christian? And our aspiration, our desire should not be what's the lowest standard that God will accept from us, but what is God's best for us? I think God's best is total abstinence from alcohol. That's why there are three groups of people where it was required. One is priests. We saw that in Leviticus. And here it's the Nazarites. And then Proverbs 31, it's kings. And I think those three groups are specifically mentioned as staying away from alcohol completely, is that's God's best. They're an example for the rest of us, and I think that should be our aspiration. The second requirement for Nazarites is no haircuts. Might save a little money that way, but why would God even care about haircuts? But then entire period of your Nazarite vow, or if it's your life, if you're a lifetime Nazarite, is you don't cut your hair. And the reason for that is that would be a sign of humiliation and unkempt to a certain extent. But as we humble ourselves before God, that was just a sign of that humiliation that we have before Him. The Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians 11:14, "Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?" Well, the Nazarite voluntarily takes on that shame as a sign of his humiliation before God. Yes, it's hard to manage. It's unkempt. I know it's a shame, but before God, there are no important people. And then the third requirement that's mentioned here in chapter 6 is you do not touch a dead body. Now, for a Jew, that would be a very important part of devotion to father or mother, close relatives. that when a person dies, you take care of the arrangements in the body and make sure it's treated with respect. And normally that would be fine, but for a Nazarite, you don't touch that person. Somebody else can take care of those arrangements. Just a way to demonstrate our devotion to God and our closeness to Him. You know, Jesus said in Matthew 10:37, "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." I know some people have trouble with that requirement, but this is a way to demonstrate that truth, that our devotion is to be God above all else. Number of Nazarites were in the Bible. One was Samson. He was a lifelong Nazarite by the command of God. John the Baptist seems to be also a lifelong Nazarite based on his lifestyle. The Apostle Paul was for a period of time. In Acts chapter 18, verse 18, it said, Paul, after he had tarried there a good while, took his leave of the brethren, sailed thence into Syria, and with him Priscilla and Aquila, having shorn his head in Cenchrea, for he had a vow. He'd taken the Nazarite vow that he was going to be in Jerusalem. He would deliver the offering had been collected and deliver it to those people for whom it was intended. But for Christians today, the Bible does use a unique word to describe us, and it's peculiar people. Titus 2:14 said that Jesus gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Peter used that same term, 1 Peter 2:9. You're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. And that phrase, peculiar people, means that we're lifelong Nazarites. Once we receive Christ as our Savior, we're separated unto God for his service from that point on. Be holy people. Well, keep reading. Our reading for tomorrow is just one chapter, Numbers chapter 7. And I dig into that. I'll look forward to being with you again then. Have a great day, everybody.